Hi, this is Craig from Sulcata Grove, and we are going to do a little walkthrough of our mangoes. This is spring of, well, it's actually April, I guess, of 2019. And so we're just going to walk through and let you see how everything's doing right now. We're going to start here with our Namdok Mai. This is a tree that's been in the ground for about 4 years, I think.
I'm seeing three, but
3 or 4. And it didn't hold much fruit this year. It bloomed pretty heavy. And it's got a few, and you can see they're fairly, oh, there's another one hiding behind here. It didn't hold a whole lot of fruit. I'm not real sure why. It does have some scale or something growing on it, because I've got this sooty mold. And sooty mold, you can see this here, it scrapes right off. Sooty mold is actually not, it doesn't attack the plant. What this is that when you have things like aphids and scales that produce honeydew, the excess honeydew drips down on the leaves, and so you have a sugary substance on the leaves and you get this mold. It doesn't really hurt the plant other than it blocks some of the photosynthesis, but it's a symptom that somewhere you've got something else that's producing honeydew, so that's something that's feeding on the plant's juices, and it's a good reason to get rid of it. So we'll usually do something like you spray with an oil spray. We'll kill off that, and then eventually your sooty mold will disappear. So this is our M4 mango. We just put it in the ground. This is actually the place where we used to have our Malika that we dug up, and I was at top work. Actually, I think I tried top working it and it didn't take, and so the stump dried up, so we just went ahead and planted a new one in there. I don't know much about M4. It's a newer Zils variety, I believe, and it's supposed to be coconutty. I may have tasted it before, but if I do, I don't remember. So, young tree in the ground. I'm probably I'll top it later on this year, but it did produce some fruit. I don't know if it's probably not gonna hold any because it's not really big enough, but actually I may tip it sooner rather than later, and because it's not gonna hold fruit, I might as well keep it from putting the energy into those fruits and get it into growth. So I'll probably go ahead and do that later on today. So this is our lemon zest mango, and it's doing pretty good this year. It's holding a good amount of fruit. Actually, we just had a pretty big windstorm a couple nights ago, and it actually dropped off some pretty big ones. You can see one of the reasons that people have kind of fallen out of favor with lemon zest is it has some real bad fungal susceptibility issues. And so you can see here, even on a very small fruit, it's already got some anthracnose on some of these that, fortunately, some of these that fell. I don't see any of it on any of the ones that are still on the tree. But it's an excellent mango, but it does have definitely some fungal susceptibility problems, and you just kind of have to decide if it's worth it or not. So this is our COGSHALI or COGSHALI mango. This is one that I may end up top working fairly soon. The last 2 years I just really have been unhappy with the flavor of the fruit. I've had some on this tree that were good. I think it has to do with picking them at just the right time. Whether I'm picking them early or late, I'm not sure, but other than that, it produces very well. It's a good looking tree. The fruit are beautiful. If I can figure out when to pick them, I'll probably keep the tree just for that reason. But this is kind of a natural semi-dwarf tree. I don't have to take anything out of the height of this, and this has been in the ground for probably 6 years now, and it's just not any bigger than this. I tip it, but I don't take any height out of it. But it is a good producer, and like I said, the fruit are absolutely beautiful. And I've had some that were good, but like I said, I think I'm probably picking them at the wrong time, and they're getting probably overripe. I'm letting them stay on until they're very red, and probably need to be picking them earlier. So we'll try that this year and let you know how it works. So this is our pickering. Pickering is a dwarf tree. This one's, I've never taken any height out of it, and this is as big as it is after probably about 3 or 4 years. I've seen ones that were 20 years old that weren't any bigger than that. They get wider usually, but they don't get much height on them. So they're excellent if you don't have much yard space, and you can even do them in containers pretty well. The mangoes themselves are actually pretty big. This one produced a lot this year. We had a storm that a lot of these little ones have fallen off, but there's still some pretty good sized ones on here. Anyway, it's a kind of a little bit coconutty flavor to it. It's a good mango, very disease resistant. It's an all-around good one. But right now you can see I've got some on here that are that size. I don't know what's that size. Anyway, Pickering is a lot of people really, if they don't have much space, Pickering's an excellent choice for you, and it's a pretty hardy tree. This is our KALAY, or lemon meringue mango, one of my personal favorites. We'd had another tree here before, and I just put a PPK in maybe 3 years ago, and it even produced last year, and this year it's gotten a lot more going on. And it's a fairly normal to aggressive grower. I mean, it becomes a big tree, and I've been keeping it about a little small, but it's one of my absolute favorites. If you've never tried one, it tastes, it's just super, super sweet and lemony and creamy. It's a really good mango, and pretty low maintenance as well. It doesn't have a lot of issues with disease or anything. Also, I tend to keep my mango trees pretty widely spread apart, and a lot of that is airflow, and that helps with fungus more than anything else. Is if you can get good airflow around them, especially if you're living, if you're coastal enough to where you get some of that coastal breeze, that helps a lot as well. But if you can keep good spacing between your trees and keep some airflow between them, you have a lot less fungal issues long term. So this is our Valencia Pride. Valencia Pride's an older variety. It is an excellent producer. It has average to good fruit on it, but it's just such a great grower. It's a vigorous grower, as you can tell. This is actually the first mango tree that we put in, so this one's been here almost 8 years, 7 years, yeah, anyway. 7. And I have to take a lot of wood out of this tree every year when I prune it. I take a lot of height out and keep it manageable. I also like to keep all the leaves up off the ground, so that when these mangoes fully develop and they're going to be heavy and they're going to be pulling down, they're not going to still touch the ground, because the raccoons and things get them real bad then. But Valencia Pride to me is a great, just kind of just good all-around average mango, but easy to grow, produces a lot, and because of that, it's one of my favorites. Even though it's not the best tasting mango, the tree itself, I really just enjoy growing these.
And we had some good tasting ones last year.
We did have some good ones last year, yeah. This is our dot mango. This is one I may end up top working next year or the end of this year. Dot mango is not bad. It's just not that good either. It produces well, as you can see. It's got some big clusters on here. It set fruit well. It blooms well, and they don't taste bad. But to me, it's not even as good as a Valencia Pride, and so there's things I'd rather try. And this one in particular has got a nice 4-way fork at the right level, where if I top work each one of those 4, I can put 4 different varieties on this one, and it'll be a really nice tree after that. So we'll just have to wait and see. But for right now, it's okay. Not one I'd really recommend, but not terrible either. But there's some better ones out there. This is the Harvest Moon mango. This is one, again, it's kind of fallen out of favor with people lately. You don't see it very much often anymore. It has a bad reputation for not producing well. And I found that that's true the first few years. The first couple years this was in the ground, this was plenty big enough to produce, but did not produce. Last year it produced a lot, and the mangoes that it's producing are enormous. They're great big, huge. They're bigger than softballs. They're, what's bigger than a softball? Smaller than a football.
Coconut? No, like a little coconut.
Coconut, size. Small coconut size, yeah. They're very beautiful, and they're decent flavored. They're pretty good. Again, the downside of this one is it's going to take it a few years before it's going to really produce well for you. And this year, it is absolutely covered with fruit. So we'll see how much of it holds on to. I do see a few on the ground from the storm, but not very many. And it's not that, for a tree that's producing really large fruit, it's not that vigorous of a grower. I haven't had to trim this one very much over the years, but it is good, and it's one of those, it's an absolutely gorgeous piece of fruit, and kind of makes up for it being, it's average to above average in flavor, but I probably wouldn't plant another one. I was going to say it's worth recommending, but I probably wouldn't plant another one. This is good, but there's so many new varieties out that to me are just a little more exciting, and but I won't take this one out. I'll leave it here. Plus, it's kind of in the back corner of the property where it's not in the way, so we'll let it keep going. This is the coconut cream mango, which is one of our, if not favorite, it's in the top 2. This is just an excellent quality mango. The flavor of this one is just, it's really hard to beat. So some people have kind of, they don't like coconut cream because they say it doesn't produce well for them, but ours has produced for us phenomenally. This is one of our top producing trees, and it does have a weird growth habit. You can see probably some of this, a lot of the branches, they have this kind of twisty growth pattern. It makes it a little harder to trim the trees and to make them look nice. It's a little more work, but it's absolutely worth it. Also, I think in the first couple years when they were producing these, they were putting them on a rootstock that wasn't super compatible, and so some people have had issues over the years of them breaking off at the graft union. I haven't heard of that happening in a while, so I think that's something that was probably just a short-term thing. Ours has done fine, and we've had it through a couple of hurricanes. But it's just such a delicious fruit, and it's one of those that even if you get it a little too early or a little too late, it's still good. And there's not many that are really like that are that forgiving. But this is one of our top 1 or 2 cultivars. It is also one of the only patented U.S. Mango cultivars. And so it's possible that when you get it, it might be a little more expensive because it's one that they have to you have to be licensed to propagate it. But it's worth it. It's really a good mango. So this is one that's called, well, it used to be called Big Ron. I believe the name has been changed to Atlas. This is a very large fruiting mango. Now this one does get to the size of footballs. I think that they've been up to about 8 pounds. So and flavor wise, it's more of a novelty, I think, than I've had some that weren't bad. I've had some that were bad. It's very hard to get the fruit to stay on, to get full size and not have any fungal or bruising issues, simply because it takes a long time for these things to fully ripen. But it is a huge mango, and I actually had some last year that I sliced in dehydrated, and I thought they were a little better dehydrated than fresh, but you get these mango chips that are the size of football slices, and it's almost more of a novelty. But I'm thinking if I find the right time to pick these and ripe, whether they need to be ripened off, that they still could be good, because it does have some good flavor. The ones I had, like I said, they were late on there, and it was kind of hard to get them fully ripened or ripened properly. But still, it's an interesting variety, and it's kind of rare, so it's kind of a neat thing to have just for that reason. This is the CAC mango. It is one that you've had. This one, haven't you?
I haven't.
You haven't? I haven't either. It's supposed to be really good. Supposed to have excellent flavor, and so we just put one in the ground this year just to kind of give it a try, and didn't bloom this year, which is fine. It did.
Really, there's fruit on the left.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So it did. We'll see. We may get a fruit off of it then. It's a little on the small side, but it might hold 1 fruit. So if it does, we'll have a tasting and let you know. We also just put in the ground an orange sherbet, which is another one of the new Zills varieties that I have had, and it is very good. It is very, I believe it is a seedling of lemon meringue, which is one of my favorites. A lot of those with the citrusy flavors, the lemon zest and the orange sherbet, of these come from, have the parentage with PPK, and that's where they get that from. And so, excellent. And this one's supposed to be a lot more disease resistant than the lemon zest, so we'll see how this one does. This is our Mangifera odorata, which is, I guess, technically not a mango, but it is the same genus. Mangoes technically are Mangifera indica, and this is Mangifera odorata. So this is one that we grafted several years back, and as you can tell, it's kind of in a back corner of the yard. It hasn't gotten a lot of great care. We more kind of wanted to just to grow it to see if it was any good or not. Most of the accounts that I've heard of the fruit of odorata are that it's not all that good, but we figured we'd try it. And so it's growing back here, and it's bloomed a lot this year. It does have some little fruit set on it. So
it's got big fruit in the back. Just,
oh, back
yeah.
here? Yeah. Okay, it's got some, you know, pecan-sized ones back there. But anyway, if we do get some fruit for this, we'll definitely do a tasting video for it. Last year it did set some fruit, but I don't think they came full term, so we'll have to wait and see how it goes. But if you're you can find these every once in a while. Again, it's not typically grown for consumption. I don't think that they're, but if you want something that's got a unique flavor, this should have it.
And they're supposed to have a unique smell that people love or hate.
Yeah. So anyway, if we do get some fruit from this, we'll definitely do a video and let you know what we think. So, following along our fence line of quite neglected and unproperly cared for mangoes, we have back here the Ugly Betty. This one's been back here 3 or 4 years back here, so it doesn't get fertilized. It doesn't get much of anything. It doesn't get as much sun, so it's a little bit smaller, but it does have some fruit going this year. I think we got a piece of fruit or two last year off of this one, but I don't remember.
I don't know if it was this or the Beverly. I don't know.
I don't think we got any Beverlys last year.
Okay, it probably was this then.
So anyway,
I think we liked it.
It's supposed to be excellent flavor. It's supposed to be an ugly tree. It's supposed to be an ugly fruit, thus the name. But flavor-wise, if I remember well, it was good. So we'll see again what we get this year. Here's our CHOC mango. Another one that's on the back fence line, so it doesn't get much attention, but it doesn't seem to mind this year. It's got some pretty good sized fruits coming along. CHOC is supposed to be one that you can get 2 crops a year out of. So this would be the early one, I assume, and then later on it might bloom and you have actually a second fruit set. We had some of these last year. I don't remember them being that exquisite.
We didn't, I don't think, get fruit off this one.
I think we had one. Maybe not been off of this tree. Maybe it was from another.
I had one at Fruit and Spice and loved it. It was my favorite one I had that year. But I don't know if it was mislabeled or.
Anyway, so we'll have to wait and see what we get, and if we get something off of here, we'll do another taste test. But anyway, but the novelty of this is that you can get.
Supposedly.
2 sets of fruit a year. Yeah, supposedly. We'll see. This one's awfully small, and again, it's been back here where it's not gotten a lot of attention, so or sunlight, but it's still holding on. And this is the Beverly. It's an excellent fruit. So if you want to spread out your mango crop, this is the one. This is a good way to go with your late ones. This one has not produced for us yet. Last year it bloomed, but I think all of the fruit dropped before they didn't have many on it, but they dropped them. But anyway, this one hasn't even bloomed yet, and the other ones have long set fruit, so it's definitely a later variety. And we may be pushing ours even later because we've got it kind of back here with some bananas, and so it's getting some extra shade. So that may slow it down even more. But once it gets a little size and can poke its head up above the bananas a little bit, it'll probably do better. This is a mango that does not have a name. It is a seedling of Tyler Premier that was selected for having excellent fruit at the repository in Miami. We got some cuttings and we propagated it, and so we've had it grown out here. Last year I don't remember what the fruit tasted like on it, but I'm pretty sure we had some. But you can see it's got a lot of fruit that's coming along. It's already gotten a little decent size on it. So we'll definitely do another tasting of this one this year and let you know how it is. This is the ice cream mango. This is it's another one that's pretty much a natural dwarf. It does get bigger than the Pickering, but I've never seen one that was very big. It's also a little bit finicky. It's probably certainly not something that somebody would want to have as their first mango. It does have a lot of susceptibility to anthracnose. A lot of connoisseurs though that really love mangoes, this is their favorite. And it has a very complex flavor. It's got a lot of spiciness to it, but it's still sweet. It's a good mango for sure. But again, it has a lot of fungal issues. So I've had issues, maybe you can see, maybe you can't, that a mulch pile over here next to it, which is not a good place to put your mulch pile. I think it just adds extra pressure from fungus to get on it. So this is one that we have pretty widely spaced out so it can get lots of airflow. And I don't get too much on the leaves, but I have seen some of the fruit get some anthracnose on them. So we kind of keep an eye on this one, but it is an excellent fruit, but if you only have room for one mango tree, this probably wouldn't be the one to put in. This is the sweet tart mango, and last year we had a ton of fruit on the sweet tart. And this year it hasn't even bloomed, so I'm not sure why not. It's putting out new growth, but it's not putting out flower. It was a later one for us last year. It was actually one of our latest ones, so it may still bloom, but I'm not sure why it hasn't. It hasn't gotten any nitrogen that might have caused that. But it's just, it hasn't bloomed yet. So we'll have to wait and see. It's one of my favorite, it's probably in my top 5 flavor-wise for mangoes. But we'll just have to wait and see what it does. It may still come out with some bloom, but we'll have to wait and see. So this is the peach cobbler mango. This is another one we have right next to the sweet tart, and these two were both late season last year. This one does have some fruit started on it, but not a lot. Last year this thing was absolutely covered in fruit, and this year it looks pretty thin. So we may get another bloom out of it, or we may just get less fruit. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I see some more up there. So it's still got some on it. This one tends to have fruit you can see these are all here. These probably will all develop. This one is one that tends to cluster its fruit. They're not that big, but there's a lot of them. And it also did kind of not great with anthracnose last year. So hopefully we'll get better results this year. So this is our just recently planted Sugar Loaf. I think it's only been in the ground for about a week or two. Just so we can have on video exactly how big it was when we put it in, and then you can see it grow over the years. I have tasted the Sugar Loaf fruit, and it is phenomenal. It tastes like a really, really sweet pineapple.
To us, but everybody else now is saying it tastes like coconut, and that we must have had it underripe. I know. Then
I would have them underripe because it was
so good.
It was super good. Anyway, it's an excellent mango. So we just put one in the ground, and we'll have to watch it grow over the years, and maybe give you an idea how long it takes a mango to get size on it. This is a fruit punch mango. It's another one of those ZEST varieties. It's a really, really good fruit. I've had it before. This one, just like the Namdok Mai, has got some sooty mold on there. I did actually spray this with an oil spray not too long ago, and so probably the scale is what it looks like there. Yeah, it's got some scale. It's probably dying off if it's not dead already, and so that's going to go away. But I didn't get any bloom yet out of this one, and it probably should have bloomed by now, so I may not get any this year. We'll have to wait and see. But if not, it's a shame, because this is a really good fruit as well. Alright, this is the cotton candy mango, another newer variety that has been described as a sugar bomb. And I have not tasted it yet, but I like my mango sweet, so I'm hoping that this is going to be a good one. And it does have a lot of fruit set already. This just went in last year.
Or 2 years ago.
2 years ago?
At least, because we didn't get fruit last year, and I thought we might.
Oh, okay. So 2 years then. And it's got a little bit of that scale. Got an armored scale that I don't know. Anyway, but it's got some pretty good size on it. It's certainly enough to hold on to some fruit, so hopefully we get to try it this year and let you know what we think. This is the Southern Blush mango, if there were a contest for best looking piece of fruit, the Southern Blush would definitely win. Any other contest, it's not going to fare very well in. It is very, very susceptible to funguses, and you can see even here on these tiny little fruits, it's already got some anthracnose on there. And I have sulfured this one before, and it just doesn't, it seemed to want to not have fungus. The first year I put this in, it produced a couple of fruit for us, and in the last 2 years it has not produced any because the fungal pressure on it was too high. This year it has produced a lot again. Again, I put sulfur on it, but I'm just not sure. This is its last year to prove itself, I think, and so if I can get some fruit off it this year, I'll probably keep it. If not, then I'll probably top work it with something else. But it is an absolutely gorgeous looking piece of fruit that you can take a picture of. But it does definitely have some disease drawbacks. All right, this is a mango tree that I am excited about this year. This is my Pina Colada, and I have had the Pina Colada in the ground for 4 or 5 years, and I've never gotten any fruit off of it, and it took it a long time to get growing. As you can see down here, I had to inarch a second rootstock into it just to see if I could get it going, because it just wasn't growing. I thought maybe that the original one had gotten kind of root bound, so I put in a secondary one, but the original one is growing as well, so that wasn't really the issue. And I've seen some other people that have had trouble getting these started. Other people haven't. Some people have put them in the ground and they just take off. This one has taken forever to get growing, but now that it's growing, it's doing great. And it is loaded with fruit this year. This is the first year that it's held on to any fruit, and I have had this fruit before, and it is spectacular. So I'm looking forward to getting hopefully a lot of Pina Coladas this year. All right, this is good old Glen. Glen is another one that's kind of in the category with the Valencia Pride with me, where it may not be the most spectacularly flavored mango, but it's a workhorse. This thing just produces tons and tons, and you can see on here clusters and clusters of fruit, and it will hold on to most of these. It produces lots of fruit, and actually Valerie, this is her favorite one now. So it's a good one. It tastes good. There's certainly nothing wrong with the flavor. And drawback, I don't know of any drawbacks of Glen other than the fact that it's not a spectacular flavor. It's a good flavor. It's a mango. It tastes like a mango. It's way better than a grocery store mango by a long shot. So this is about the 4th year that it's been in the ground, and it is just produces just tons and tons of fruit, and it's bomb proof. This is another one. If you want something, if this would be a great first mango to plant for somebody. It has not been as aggressively growing as the Valencia Pride. It's stayed smaller. I've had less trimming to do on it, but it's yeah, it's just an all-around good mango if you're not really looking for that super exquisite gourmet flavor. So this is the Mahashanook mango. This is an Indian mango that it's got a really nice long shape to it. It's a good looking mango. Last year they were not that great. I probably waited too late, should have picked them earlier and let them ripen indoors. But it's one of those we kind of put in there just to see if we'd like it, and so far we haven't, but we'll give it a few more years. As the trees get older, the fruit gets better. And so we'll wait and see again how it does this year. I don't see a whole lot of fruit on it. It produced a lot last year. Last year it was absolutely covered. And this year I'm already seeing new growth, which often means it's done putting out bloom. But I do see some fruit up here, so we'll have to, yeah, there's some on there. And you can see it's got that kind of sigmoidal elongate shape to it. But not a bad mango, but certainly not one of our favorites. So that's been our mango tour for 2019. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope mostly that it turns into some really good tasting videos later on, and we're particularly looking forward to having a really good mango year this year.